My presentation is on the future of mankind. It's not intended to be too dramatic, but I'm going to talk today about some classes that I've taken for the human-centered course thread, and also the ideas that have been inspired and stemmed from these. So, science fiction is a huge genre that I'm sure we all know, and there have been many books and movies that have come from this. People have always tried to make predictions about the future and about what technology will be invented that will drastically change our lives. But oftentimes that's not the case. A good example of this is Back to the Future, where we have the time machine DeLorean, and they travel to the year 2015. As far as I know, this project has not ever been created or worked. And another thing from that movie is hoverboards, and we don't have that, but they probably would be fun, but people would probably wipe out a lot more often. Another idea that people have really been interested in is jetpacks. And even though I would love to have a jetpack to take me from campus, or from my apartment to campus when I'm late, it's probably not the greatest idea because, well, one, it's not going to be very environmentally friendly. Two, you're probably going to get your bottom burned off. And three, set fire to anything behind you. So maybe that's why they've looked into hydro jets, but as you can see, this is very limited too. So this is kind of just an introduction to technology that hasn't been created. And why is that? Well, going to my first class that I took here at Cal freshman year in 2010, this is my introduction to my major, cognitive science, and I had come to Cal interested in neuroscience and that aspect of it, and I was really unfamiliar with artificial intelligence and computer programming, and at first I didn't like it. But as you can see, my professor tried to make it relatable and understanding. We talked about artificial intelligence and different robots and looking for ways to represent human intelligence in a computer through rules and heuristics, which is a form of searching more efficiently. Dreaming of this more intelligent machine is difficult. Here is a little human-centered design for you with a mix of technology, something we all need in our bathrooms, helps you flush the toilet. But can we create machines that are actually intelligent, or are we just going to come up with machines that have very complex programs? This is a picture of Rodney Brooks giving his TED Talk with his machine, Geo, and he makes a kind of scary prediction saying that computers will evolve from just being toys to eventually doing our household chores and beyond. And what exactly is he saying? This is kind of a question my professor brought up, talking about computers and how they will advance. The second class I want to talk about is Cog Sci 101, which I took as a sophomore in the spring. And we talked about embodiment, the embodiment theory. And this theory is important, and I was introduced to it in the previous class that I mentioned as a way for us to to understand abstract concepts, that we have to have a body that we use in the physical world in order to understand abstract concepts like time, so that we talk about going forward in time because we walk forward toward the unknown, and so our future is ahead, something that we haven't yet experienced. So robots would need to have bodies in order to understand the way that we think. And there are many metaphors, as you can see here. Another thing we talked about in this class was categories, and how robots have a difficult time understanding these categories because they're so large, and what traits do you really focus on to try to understand how to distinguish birds from dogs or birds from other birds. And this would probably be my prototype for this category. The third class I want to talk about is History of Information, which I also took my sophomore year. And in this class, we talked about how people try to predict what technology will change our lives, and how inventors often create technology and think that it will be used for one thing, and it's not. This picture is of Alexander Graham Bell, who invented the telephone. And he originally thought it would be used to, for people to listen to opera. And that didn't happen. People used it to communicate with each other. And why is this? It's probably because people used it, they use technology and incorporate it into their lives. They don't necessarily use it for what it is. And this is kind of a beginning to human-centered design. And another thing we talked about in this class was how people try to predict certain technologies replacing each other, that cars will replace bikes as a better means of transportation. But that hasn't happened, and cars certainly haven't replaced walking either. Certain technologies do get edited out, like typewriters, and this is because computers are a more efficient way to type and to write. Looking at this aspect, you can understand the human-centered design behind this, that people have to edit out technology that adds too much to their life, that doesn't help improve their lives, or that isn't easily incorporated into their daily routines. We talked about what is technology and how has it advanced through the future. And so talking about the computer, up there is Pascal's computer, and then we have Egyptian water tower and the abacus. And the computer really started off as a simple calculating device. And it became increasingly complex. And now it's kind of used as more of a social networking device. And so maybe it's perhaps not lived up to its like full potential right now. Like not everyone uses it to its full potential. But these things have been replaced because the computer has become more encompassing for it. And this is a result of good human-centered design. So my classes have really kind of opened up this want versus need, like what technology gets incorporated into our lives and what doesn't. The military is working on creating robots that can replace soldiers, and we have iPhones now, and they rule our lives. But what do we really need? If you look at it on a strict level, you don't really need anything. Even if you look at the early technology, which, I mean, people might forget that wheels are a technology, that before that you could only walk, and technology has built off of itself. But these things still aren't really necessary, but certain technology is, and so the ones that are more necessary get incorporated into our lives. Here's a good example of technology that seems more practical and more necessary. This is the mind control of talking leads into prosthetics, and it's used for Army veterans who have lost their arms and legs, and I only have pictures of arms, but this would definitely seem more of a practical usage, and that would get incorporated into our lives. People always worry about these things being taken too far. This is a picture from RoboCop. But I think social media has definitely kept a healthy fear in us to not let that happen. So I guess to sum up what my presentation is, computational models are kind of a way to like understand human learning, and in that way they mirror humans because they're obviously engineered by us. But the better technologies are the ones that have more human-centered design and user interface, from stoves, like simple technology, to websites that we don't physically interact with. And one project that I'm working on that Becky mentioned earlier is Chronozoom, and we worked on the homepage, and we spent a lot of time thinking in complex detail about how a person will interact with the website when they come to it. What will they click on? What will they see? What will confuse them? And it's sometimes difficult to predict how someone will interact with it, but still, a computer couldn't think of that because it would have to, humans would have to, it would have to be generated from us, I guess is what I'm trying to say, because technology isn't isolated, doesn't stand on its own. It has to benefit our lives in some way in order to exist and to be implemented into our lives. And hopefully we'll just continue to try to advance in technology that is well designed